What's up, everyone? It's your guy? Yeah, we'll say guy, because boy's too basic. But anyway, it's your guy, Hamilton here, with a video. Can you believe it? I can't believe it. I mean, I haven't uploaded in years in YouTube terms, which is like 4 months, but I've streamed. I've done all the junior streams, but now I'm here. Just gonna talk about a pack that I made. So, about a week ago on an RJ stream, I asked him, how do you make the perfect backpack? Because I'm going to make a video on this. And he told me, just watch the video, his video. Which I did, and it was great. It's a good video. I'd watched it before. But, now I'm here to show you the results of the pack. My first attempt at making the perfect sealed play pack. But, I decided for this first attempt, for Alpha Pack 1, that I would make a regular sealed pack. It's like a thing that you buy a box of 24 cards. In that pack, there's 100 different cards with a couple different archetypes and some generic removal. But I think the best way to show you is by introducing you to the pack. So, as you can see, I'm very optimistic. But for starters, this is I made this set have 4 archetypes, one encompassing each of the primary summon mechanics except Link and Tribute. Tribute because I don't want people playing Monarchs because that's just it's like done to death in every other battle pack, and Links because they're very generic. However, I do think I should have included some. Amazon S is the mainly battle focused archetype. Their commons are their Monarch, Queen, which is actually a decent card. I mean, just stopping battle destruction is a pretty good effect. But when you get your monsters to high attacks, most things will be effect destruction. Spellcaster, which can switch the attacks if you're ever in a situation where you're like, oh, I don't have Swordsmaster or Golden Whip. I need to kill that guy. You can do that. That's like a removal spell. Archers is a battle trick, which is alright. They have a revival spell and willpower, but they don't have any like really premium monster removal. They have decent spell trap removal in Amazon S Golden Whip Master, but that's during the battle phase. So if they have like a battle trap or something that can activate before battle, you're not really getting anything. Next up for Amazon S, we have their rares. Cards like the new Amazon S War Chief, which is basically a bad cyber dragon that can search a spell. So we have all of their like spell slash trap searchers, a card that makes them win battle even more. Amazon S Call, which is another searcher, and the first two, the fusion monsters, the weaker two. Then in the super rare slot and the top slot for Amazon S, we have the 2 newer fusion monsters, as they're just really good. If you get this with an Amazon S Village and both Swordmaster and Silver Whip, this is a 54k beat stick. That may be a mistake. Now, next archetype, we've got Synchron slash Junk. This is the Synchro Spam archetype that is really, really okay. Most of the Synchros in the common slot are just some of the smaller guys. Like, we've got Junk Warrior, Junk Gardener, Turbo Warrior, these are like all okay. Junk Warrior was one of the original ones. All these were like old ones. Turbo Warrior is probably the worst, but it's like a 6 that you can go into occasionally. And then Junk Garden is one of the movie promos, which I haven't even read. Yeah, that's okay. Just a big butt. You also have Underworld Fighter Balmung, which is a 4 that can contest some other 4s. So it's like a decent card. In the rare slot, we have powerful tuners like Jet Synchron and Quick Draw Synchron. And we have some of the better synchros like Cavalier de Fleur, which just negates spell traps. This is just a spell trap again. You have like Road Warrior, which just summons a guy. And as a big guy, you have Drunk Berserker, which allows you to win battles, which can kind of counter the Amazon S strategy a bit. Because if you discard something like Junk Arch, use Junk Archer or a Junk Warrior or even a Junk Synchron or a Junk Connector, you have Junk Berserker as well. So if you just use one of your big Junk monsters, that really just gets the ball rolling for your win. And in the super slot, we have Junk Speeder and Formula Synchron. Formula Synchron's there because it's a level 2, which get to why I don't really like it in a sec. Speeder, sorry. And this is just like one of the best ones for synchro spamming, is you can just get a bunch of guys on the field. So you can get like a bunch of tuners, you get like, you could make Junk Berserker, I think? No, you can't, because it's a 5. You can make like a few things. You can just like fill the board with guys that can block attacks, and then on the next turn, since this is a slower game state, you can do that. Also, I forgot to mention in the rare slot we have Red Wyvern, which is a pretty decent card that can remove stuff. It's like a removal guy. Anyway, and lastly, they actually get an ultra rare in Baron de Fleur. And now you might be wondering, why have I included this meta card in with all these bad ones? Baron de Fleur is a really hard to summon card. So even though it's really strong, you'll be putting a lot of resources into it. It's not like you can just make this with your Sword Soul combo. You'll be putting like, the best way to probably summon it is like Junk Speeder. It's like Junk Speeder, Junk Synchron Quillbolt, and that's like a -6 to do. They also have Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, which is a really good card, but it's not game breaking. It lets you win combat against Amazon S, so if you get it, it's a good Amazon S counter, but it's not game breaking. Next up, we have everyone's favourite Duel Links archetype, Cyber Angels. At all the commons, we have all of the effect monsters, because they're like searchers. They like give you advantage, but they're not like busted strong. Like, this requires a normal summon, and it's a small guy, so if you don't actually have a ritual spell, it dies. Or if you don't have a monster, it dies. If you kind of brick, this thing's basically useless. Then you have Egg, which is just, it's an egg, so I have to kind of put it there because it's really funny. And since you don't have Ritual Sanctuary, it's not as good. And then like the common ones, you get Iznara, which is a weaker big boss, but is like still a decent one because it gives you like spell trap removal, but your opponent gets to select the card. I guess it has double attack. It's alright. It's like a weaker one of the other cards, which is why it's rare. And then you have the one that just gives you like an attack increase. Gives your ritual guys an attack increase. Which is alright, I guess. And then you have the worst of the two ritual spells, in my opinion. Which is the one that was banned in Duel Links, but whatever. At the rare slot, you get other cards like Danke, the Duel Links Meta Destroyer that made the Tier 0 deck. This card's just like really good. What can I say? It's just removal. And then you also have the Tasha, which is just indestructible except by removal girl who will kick your ass. You're also a horse. I don't know how I feel about that. Anyway, we have the beta ritual spell, as it can banish stuff, and I have the magnificent Machine Angel ritual, which just allows you to do battle better. It allows you to battle better. And now to the super slot. Ben 10 and their draw 2. That makes a lot of sense to me. Pot of Greed and their draw 2 are in the same slot, because this draw 2 also contribute one of their cards and give them advantage. See, I'm thinking. And lastly, at the ultra rares, they have their big boss 3K monster, which everyone's just like, oh, this card's terrible. Why is it up? This card's just bad. But it counters extra deck monsters, and when every single one of the main strategies in this set has extra deck payoffs, having something that destroys extra deck monsters and inflicts a bunch of damage to your opponent is pretty good. It's pretty good. And now to the last archetype we've got Ga Ga Ga. Ga 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 is a really unique archetype. I like it as an Xyz archetype. We've got cards like Magician, which can do some of the higher level ones, which is why I've included them. You've got Girl and Kid, you've got Gardener, which is like a really bad battle stopper, and then you've got Mancer, and then you've got their Xyz, the low ranking Xyz. You've got Gagaga Samurai, which is the worst one of the Gagagas in my opinion, because you can just cowboy for game, and the other one's just got 2,000 attack. So this is like a really decent one to put you on because you can attack twice with it. You've got cards like X-Stag, which is a level 6 payoff with by making your Dark Magician and uh, not Dark Magician. This isn't Yu-Gi Moto's deck. Anyway, you use Gagaga Magician's effect obviously to increase its level, and then use Gagaga Sister to make its level equal to Gagaga Magician's. You also have Daigusto Emerald because it's really bad in limited formats. Gagaga also have a monster removal card at common, which yeah, it requires you to have a Gagaga monster on the field, but it's still really good. Anyway, now we're moving on to the rares. We've got Gagaga Head. Gagaga Head's like the thing that broke Duel Links. It's like really strong. You've got the two other Gagaga Xyz monsters. I think you need more personally. You've got special summons from hand, so you can combo off more. You've got. Why did I make this a rare? There should be a common. I can get to that in my complaints. You've also got Goblinberg, which is just another summon. You've got a bunch of summon cards actually. And then you've got another level 6 payoff, the big one. As well, the second biggest to the other guy. Grenade Launcher, who's just monster removal again. This card's really good. Anyway, now to the supers. In the super slot, you've got two payoffs. You've got the two big Xyz payoffs. Photon Strike Bouncer is a negate, and a gate that is really good. You can make our. This is the rank 6 payoff, so you can technically, theoretically, in some certain scenarios, make it in every deck. I think every deck has the potential to make this. And then you have Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon, which is just monster removal that gives you a big guy. So this also counters Amazon S. See? Them having high attacks are not that bad. And then we get to Ultra and Secret. Ultra and Secret both have one good card for the strategy. Time Free Door, because Time Free Door is busted in sealed formats. This card is the Sealed King, because it basically can't be destroyed at all. It can draw cards, and it can just place stuff on top of the deck and steal it. And then Mecha Phantom Beast Draco Sack. This is like a guy that was really good in Dragon Roller format and recently was destroyed by Russia. So I feel like putting him in the set as like a final tribute to him is like a really nice thing to do. Now it's finally time for the generics. You have 4 generic common cards. Grand Horn of Heaven. It's a summon negate if they summon exactly one monster. Never mind, that's a different card. It's a summon negate, but your opponent draws a card, which I think is fine. Hammer Shot is monster removal, so this also counters Amazon S and is a common, because it's the highest attack on the field, and if you're running Amazon S, you're likely to have the highest attack monster on the field with all your attack again cards. Mystical Space Typhoon is your generic spell and trap removal for this set. Yeah, it's a good card. Do I care? No, it gives you a generic spell and trap removal piece. Sorry, there's actually only three. To the rare generics, there is none. To the super rare generics, this is when the generics actually start getting good. You have Solemn Strike. Solemn Strike's a monster effect negation or monster summon negation, so it's really good. Magic Jammer can negate spell traps, which is always a nice thing to have, especially when most of the spell traps can make bigger guys or destroy other spell traps that you have. Bottomless is always a really good card in 99% of games. So I feel like Bottomless could always benefit you to have. Fissure is premium monster removal. Yeah, it's the lowest attack, but it doesn't destroy your own. Raigeki Break, even better removal, but it does discard a card. That's the important part. And lastly, Mr. Invisible himself, or Invincible. Mr. Smiler, the Joker's second cousin. Pot of Greed. Nobody knows what it does. We just all play it because of its funny, charming face. Look at that. Anyway, we also have Manju for the retro strategy, but I added that in later and forgot to talk about it. Anyway, next up we have the generic ultra rares. We have a Mirror Force here, but it's like a worse one. Radiant Mirror Force can only trigger if there's 3 or more attack condition monsters, which I think makes it still really good because it one probably counters Amazon S because they can pendulum summon a lot of guys and make a lot of girls in this case, but they make a lot of girls on the board. And two means that we're not running around with normal ones for one. Next we have Glow Up Bulb, which I mean it's kinda generic. You can use it to summon some of the generic synchros in non-thing decks and non-synchron decks. Like you can make Underworld Fighter in your Amazon S deck. That's very appealing. Then we've got generics and Mind Control. Mind Control's like a good card in TCG. Putting it as an ultra rare is a really good decision because it gives a chance for if this is like your only good pull. If you only really pull Mind Control, you can use Mind Control and take something from your opponent and just get rid of it. It's like a removal spell some of the time. Twin Twisters is the one of the better spell trap moves. It's just it discards a card and you destroy it. So good. Solemn Judgment as a negate for everything at Ultra is like a really good thing. It's very healthy. It won't show up too much, but if somebody gets it, it improves their strategy quite a bit. It gives them a good thing to fall back on. Most of the generics are a good thing to fall back on. Threatening Roar as an ultra rare, as one of the higher rarities, is actually a really good decision. This card's really good. It just doesn't align for the battle phase that turn. This card was used by Gauge in progression up until episode 90. And I don't even think that one's out yet. Heavy Storm Dust Dart is just Twin Twisters, but you have to wait a turn. And that's all the cards. Now, I want to get into some problems that I have with the set. I know I said this was going to be the perfect battle pack, the perfect sealed play, but everything must have its issues. My first issue with the set is that I wish I could have put some kind of generic cards in rare. I ran out of space in the rare slot completely. I just couldn't put any more. It's filled with payoffs, but I can still see that as being fine. It's only a minor problem. But a major problem that I have is the overabundance of monsters. I feel like there's so many more monsters than there are spell traps. Yeah, there's a lot of spell traps down there, but you won't get them nearly as much. There's a total of 10 common spell traps or something like that. It's not a good sign. My third problem. Some of the rarities of the card should be lowered or raised slightly. I think Threatening Aura should be like a super. I think that Pot of Greed should probably be an ultra. I think like Formula should be a rare. Maybe I should have made one of these two a rare. Probably Golden Whipmaster for its spell and trap removal effect. I feel like I should award the rarity of Solemn to rare. I feel like my last real complaint, prior this, before I even test it, is that I wish I could have included a little bit more cards. I felt like I wanted to include just like Smashing Ground as a super. I feel like I wanted to include like Tribute to the Doomed as, is it Tribute to the Doomed? Yeah, Tribute to the Doomed as a common. I feel like I wanted to make so many other cards in this set, but I just couldn't. I would have liked to put some kind of ritual payoff. Like maybe put advanced ritual art in here, even though there's no monsters, normal monsters, because that would be funny. But that's the set, and I have another small announcement to make. Over the time, Sunday 12th, I will be streaming at 6 p.m. BST, 1 p.m. EST, and 10 p.m. PST. Because these are all actually the same time. Time zones are weird, man. But that's beside the point. I will be streaming then, and in that stream, I'll be opening these battle packs to my heart's content and dueling anyone that wants it. Let's hope that the people that I do are good and lucky, and I can actually get a good dueling experience. Signing out.